Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode. We are so happy that you guys are here. Man, I can't tell you how grateful I am to all of you guys who have tuned in, who have commented on the channel, who have given us a ton of love, man, and have asked a lot of questions. And like I've said to you guys many times, for those of you who have left comments asking specific questions about specific topics, we've done our best to bring that content to you as well from our perspective. And you've heard me say this a million times, and I'll continue to say it. This channel isn't in the weeds on numbers and graphs and things of that nature. I literally just bring to you the things that I've learned out in the field, and I try to bring the knowledge that I've cultivated through many years of just being in the field, dealing with different service issues, heating issues, and then I come on here and I talk to you guys about them direct from my mouth and my heart to your ears. I don't have any, my phone is sitting here, but it's not on. Obviously, I do my best to kind of come up with topics because they're important to keep the knowledge flowing and the conversations going. But a lot of times it's just my real world experience that I bring on here and share with you guys, and I try to just help you. Maybe it helps you get around a problem you're having or issues you're having, and I'll talk about customers and different managements and things that I've dealt with throughout the years that maybe help you inside your business, even if you're working for somebody else. So we do appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, man, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps us. It's greatly appreciative. If while you're at it, smash that like button as well, man. It really helps us with the algorithm, because these days that's what it's all about. That's how our videos get seen, and we appreciate all the love and support we've gotten to this point. Today I wanted to discuss something specific, and the funny thing is, as of maybe about a half an hour ago, I was having a discussion with a customer. Now, they have a building that does have a dual fuel burner, but in New York City, they've made it very difficult to bring in new fuels. It's not that the new fuel isn't available, it is available, but by the time you bring the gas into the building, by the time you pipe the gas line from wherever the gas main comes into wherever the boiler room is, right? Just the piping alone. By the time that you take a step back and understand that the chimney has to be examined and checked, and a lot of times a new liner is going to have to be installed. By the time you pull the permits, by the time you legalize the entire boiler room, you see where I'm going with this? There's a lot of extra things. It's never been a matter of just running a new line, hooking it up to what's an already existing dual fuel burner, kind of going through some safety precautions, obviously, as far as wiring and some other things, and just being done with it. They make you jump through every hoop possible, and what could be X amount of job becomes triple that price, because that's just the way things are these days. Material and time unto itself is not a cheap thing, and then on top of that, adding in all the filing, the amount of different inspectors that have to be met on the job, and some of the hoops they make you jump through, takes a job that would be fairly simple and turns it into an absolute nightmare. But the conversation also took a turn where he was talking to me about efficiency. Now, that job is running on number 2 fuel, and in my opinion, oil is definitely more of an efficient fuel than gas. Now, in New York City, I can't speak to everywhere in the country, but in New York City, they've already added in this biofuel nonsense, which is supposed to keep the boiler burning cleaner and the oil burning cleaner, but it's presented itself to be giving a lot of other problems because it infiltrates the pump seals and the gaskets on the strainers and on the filters. So it's just been a nightmare across the board, and everybody talks about going green, and I don't really want to get into the politics. I'm not going to get into my opinions on that matter. I think some of it has its place, some of it's nonsense. With that being said, when you are in a business that they make your life harder, especially as a business owner myself, I have to learn to pivot, right? So as time evolves, you're going to learn to pivot. And I have to find ways to save my customers money within the confines of what I already have. So now on this job, we're having this communication about fuel oil. And with fuel oil, how can I make it more efficient? Because they feel they've been using a lot of oil in the building, and they probably have, because we have never done a preventative maintenance on the job, even though I've requested to do it many times over. They have some leaks in the boiler, and then the refractory's in a little bit of rough shape. So there are a lot of things like that. So the conversation today was like, listen, I can't prevent every single catastrophe, and when I say catastrophe, I don't want that to be misconstrued or what I'm trying to say. But problems happen all the time. Maintenance is important. So for me, when I take over a building for the first time, it could take 2 to 3 years by the time we're like only having to go there a couple of times a year. The first couple of years is spent, a lot of time is spent fixing other people's problems, putting band-aids on problems, and then figuring out the best way to give a long-term fix, and also not wanting them to have to spend a ton of money out of the gate. But like on this job, where they need a new front wall, and they need some tubes done, and they have some steel that needs to be repaired as well inside the boiler, which is leaking, a preventative maintenance, a boiler cleaning, all these things. And I told the guy the number, and he was a little bit, not upset, but taken back, and he just kept asking me, am I going to have to do this every year? And my response really came down to, and I'm just talking about this specific building because it's important, right, is that I've been to this building throughout the years, but we haven't had a relationship that's been on solid ground, and not because of anything happening or because our relationship is strained in any way. It's just that it's one of those companies that feels like they're always trying to go to like the lowest bidder, and we always kind of seem to be coming in there like after the fact, right? Maybe somebody else was there. And I kind of told the guy today, I said, listen, you got to understand a boiler and boiler maintenance. If you guys give me the green light on these things that I'm suggesting to you today, then I'm going to make sure that between the preventative maintenance, between the repairs of the refractory, by the repairs of the steel, and then really going to look at the system further. Once we dial everything in, I shouldn't have to see you more than a couple of times a year. Now, I can't. I have no crystal ball, and I have no idea what's going to happen with the boiler. I couldn't tell you about the lifespan of a tube or the steel or whatever. A lot of times, I've done work, and then, a week later the boiler's leaking again, but it's leaking in a different location. That's something I can't do anything about. But as it pertains to the refractory, and as it pertains to doing the preventative maintenance, that I certainly can control how thorough we are, how much we're going through it, how much we're cleaning it up, how much we're setting up the fire and combustion and making it as efficient as a unit as possible. Then on the flip side of that, talking with the owner of the same building, talking about master venting for the steam system, because he was complaining a little bit about the usage of fuel. And going back to that, because in a boiler room, right, the boiler is just the vessel. The boiler is the mainframe. The boiler is the brain of the operation. But then you have an entire building. So we have old windows. We have uninsulated apartments. We have uninsulated pipes. We have air conditioners in the windows. I mean, we can go on and on and on. And you guys have heard me do videos about this very topic. But at the very least, what I pride myself on and our company on is the ability to go in, make sure the boiler room and the boiler equipment itself, whatever fuel I'm on, whether it be oil or gas, is working at absolute maximum efficiency. Now that might only be somewhere on oil, maybe in this 87, 86 to 88 percentile range, which is really good. And then really adjusting that flame and making sure everything is working the way it's supposed to provide the heat and the hot water to the building in the most efficient way possible. And then on top of that, looking at my master venting on the main lines and adding where I need to and subtracting where I need to. Because I think one of the other problems they're having is the design of the boiler and the design of the building is the boiler's like in one corner, and then the main line goes to the other side. So now I need to vent that end way more than I would the apartment that's right at, or the main steam header that's in that portion of the boiler of the system, right? So this way I can evenly distribute the heat from one side to the other, because I think he's still getting complaints on the one side. Whatever, I don't want to go off on a tangent. The point is, efficiency isn't a one-trick pony, okay? Because the boiler, like I said to you guys, is really just a piece of the puzzle. It's a big piece, don't get me wrong. So obviously I have to make sure my equipment is up to snuff, that my linkages are working perfectly, that my oil flow is working the way it's supposed to, that my three-way valve on my IC burner is not dumping during firing, that my metering pump is metering oil properly, that my nozzle is clean, right? All within the PM and adjustments. So I say all this to say to you guys, I understand customers. I really do. And as an owner, I have to understand them. I have to be able to communicate with them. I know this world is filled with text messaging, email, and all those things, and that's fantastic. Trust me, there's efficiency in that. But every now and again, it is important to hop on the horn with your customer and get into a full-on explanation and understanding of what it is you're talking about, because sometimes things can be misconstrued in text and email, but nothing is misconstrued in my words when I start explaining how important these things are. Now, I have to do this in a step-by-step order. I cannot just bounce around from part A to part Z. I have to go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way up the ladder until I get to the end result. But the truth is, as we work it, if they work with me and they're willing to, I can provide as much efficiency as I personally can provide. I don't deal with apartments. I don't deal with, air conditioners in the windows. I provide as much information as I possibly can to make sure that they're making the best choice for their building, but I don't get into the apartments. So I can advise up until a certain point. I will even advise on the radiators in the apartments, but we don't service individual apartments. I'm just not built for it. But as a company, it is our responsibility to lay out all the little things that they can do, but it has to be in a step-by-step. You cannot tackle everything all at once. Rome wasn't built in a day. You have to eat the elephant small bites at a time. All the little things that go into it definitely are relative. But it was important for me to lay this out for this client today. By the time we were done on our phone call, which is probably about 20 minutes long, I think the person thoroughly understood what I was trying to say. I will be hopping on another call a little bit later in the day with the owner of the building, just to kind of go over some fine tuning on my pricing and help them out a little bit, because at the end of the day, we are here to provide a service. But I can't just give the work away anymore, because it's too expensive to operate in the city. But that's a video for another day. So I hope you guys got something from this. I mean, I know I'm a little all over the place because I'm talking about efficiency, but I'm tying it in with as it pertains to the relationship between you and the client, right? So whether that be a homeowner, whether that be a management company, whether it be an owner of a property, whether it be light commercial, industrial, doesn't make a difference. The communication you have and your understanding of the system and how you can squeeze out efficiency across the board is super important. And then how you deliver that information to that client is just as important, so they can fully understand what you're talking about. And then they get the most bang for their buck. And then they don't feel like they're throwing money out of the window when they're paying you to do the job. Because I like to see the job all the way through the end. And I hope you guys do the same. If you stuck around this long, man, and you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button. It's greatly appreciated, man. We put a lot of work into content here, and we're going to keep shooting more and more and more. And as the channel grows, we're going to grow, and our equipment is growing, and our knowledge is growing, and everything's growing. We're just going to keep providing more for you guys, so we do appreciate you. If you have any questions, concerns about this video, please drop a comment below. If you have any questions or want to hear me talk about any specific topics, you can also drop that down in the comments. It's always me answering each and every one of your guys' comments. There may come a time in the future where maybe it's not just me, but for right now, it's still me answering you. I'm the one you're getting to talk to. So if you have a question or you want to know of a certain topic or hear me talk about a certain topic, please drop it below. I will gladly take that into consideration and create a video for you so you have a better understanding, which in turn helps everybody else as well. We appreciate you guys, man. I mean, we're just going to keep doing this thing. You guys know we don't go very long. Max is about 15 minutes. I really try not to bore you with too much, and I know that sometimes you're in the car or maybe you're on the treadmill listening to this, and I really hope you get something from it. We do appreciate you guys. We hope you keep crushing it, keep killing it in your day, keep killing it in your business, and keep killing it at home. We appreciate you. Peace.